We're kicking off today with SummerSlam as the fans saw the long-awaited return of Roman Reigns, who'd made an impact in the show's main event between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. Reigns, who Wade Keller reports was made to hide in Triple H's office during the show, appeared after interference in the Bloodline Rules match by the Bloodline, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. In his first appearance for WWE since WrestleMania, Reigns attacked Sikoa, payback for the unsavory comments by his cousin, and shared a look with Rhodes before exiting the ring. Fans are now eager to see what Roman Reigns does next, and will be tuning into SmackDown, hoping to see more from the original Tribal Chief now that he's back. Fightful Select reports that Roman Reigns' return was naturally planned, but not too many people were made aware of it, as WWE kept the details of his comeback under wraps. Reigns and the company took steps to ensure that it remained a secret ahead of the main event, and now Roman is expected to feud with Sikoa and his new bloodline. There is a question as to whether Cody Rhodes will also be involved, as while Reigns may have aided Rhodes in the match, he won't have forgotten about what happened at WrestleMania 40. Fans are eager to see the new bloodline clash with Roman Reigns after his return to the company, and this setup may have been ready from back when Sikoa introduced new members. It's expected that the new group may face off against Reigns and his own set of allies, including former Bloodline members like the Usos at Survivor Series in a War Games match. That hasn't been publicly confirmed yet, and if that is the plan, then Reigns has his work cut out for him, as he's not on the best of terms with many stars, including Jey Uso. With years of being on top, Reigns will have to find some allies to go against the new bloodline, and we'll have to see what story WWE tells in the coming weeks and months. As soon as Roman Reigns made his return, WWE released a line of new pieces of merchandise for the original Tribal Chief, including a limited edition Undisputed Championship. Only 1,316 of these titles have been made, a nod to Reigns' 1,316 days as champion, but much like the man himself, this limited edition is proving to be especially popular. The new title features a red tribal strap and references to 1,316 days, as well as Reigns being head of the table, and click on the link in the description field to purchase the new title. As we've said, the Bloodline got involved in the main event of SummerSlam, and at one point, Jacob Fatu performed an incredible splash off the top rope onto Cody Rhodes on the announce table. After the spot was over, Fatu was visibly angry as he knocked over chairs and cursed, leaving many to speculate that he had been injured for real. It wasn't clear what had happened, but Fatu didn't get back up for the rest of the match, and after the main event, he was seen by fans in the stadium being helped to the back. A video of Jacob Fatu getting around on the morning after SummerSlam has come out. Sadly, he's not walking without assistance, as he's been seen in a protective walking boot. Again, this has led to fans fearing he's injured, but a report from Fightful Select notes that the plan was always for Fatu to sell his leg following the announce table splash. It was noted that the idea behind the selling of the leg was to keep Fatu away from any kind of confrontation with Reigns during his return sequence. It's entirely possible that these two will cross paths down the line, but just not right now, and fans were given an update after SummerSlam went off the air. On the post-show media scrum, Triple H confirmed that Fatu got a little banged up at SummerSlam, and that Logan Paul was also banged up after his US title loss to LA Knight. We do not know the real situation, as it could be indeed for a storyline or something more, but Triple H did a good job in convincing fans that Fatu is dealing with a real injury. What's your take on Jacob Fatu's situation? Do you think he's the best member of the new bloodline? Let us know what you think in the comments section. More injury news now, as right now, as at any given time, a handful of superstars will be on the shelf, but fans will see multiple returns during tonight's episode of Raw. It's being reported that Kofi Kingston and Ludwig Kaiser will both compete on tonight's show, which is set to take place in the CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Kaiser has been off television since June 24th after suffering broken ribs during his match with Braun Breaker, and will face Sheamus on tonight's show. As for Kingston, he's been out for storyline reasons, with Karrion Kross injuring the former WWE Champion's shoulder on the same edition of Raw when Kaiser was hurt. Kingston made his in-ring return during WWE's tour of Japan between July 25th to 27th, but the company announced that the New Day member had aggravated the injury on the tour. Kingston and his New Day partner Xavier Woods will face AOP on Raw, continuing their ongoing rivalry that has seen Cross try and win Woods over to his side. So far, Woods has rejected that call and has been missing his tag team partner, and with Kofi returning to action tonight, it'll be interesting to see what happens. As for Kaiser, this return comes at a crucial time for him as Gunther won the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam from Damian Priest. Tonight's show will also see a cross-branded match as the Awesome Truth face A-Town Down Under following their interaction at SummerSlam along with singer Jelly Roll. With CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and more announced, fans in Baltimore will certainly get a stacked show after a huge SummerSlam PLE in Cleveland. As previously reported, Triple H noted on the post-SummerSlam scrum that Logan Paul was banged up, but what is the extent of the damage to the former US champion? There was a spot in the match that saw Knight hit a very nasty suplex on Logan Paul, as Paul took a very scary landing and it almost became a brainbuster, which left fans worried. As Fightful Select reports, Paul's hard landing from the superplex was not planned, in stark contrast to the shoulder injury spots with Rhea Ripley in her match with Liv Morgan. Fortunately, Paul was said to be okay after the incident and wasn't hurt in any way, and were you concerned for the Maverick after this superplex spot? Let us know in the comments. Despite this superplex spot, Paul was able to carry on the match, which saw LA Knight win the US title, but there was an unfortunate spot at the very end of the match. The finish saw Knight hit the BFT and get the win, but there was a major botch as Paul's foot was under the ropes, which should have ended the referee's count. Now, it's possible that this could lead to a rematch between the two for the title, as this pinfall and Knight's US title victory theoretically should not have happened. If WWE plans on continuing this feud, there is a clear reason as to why Paul would want a rematch, as these two men could find themselves in the ring again very soon. Paul's title loss at SummerSlam came shortly after he was embroiled in an online controversy over a boxer competing at this year's Summer Olympics in Paris, France. Paul described the boxer winning the match after 46 seconds as the purest form of evil, as he falsely believed that Algeria's Imane Khalif is transgender, which is not the case. While many have pointed to Khalif failing an unspecified gender test in 2023, that test came from a Russian body with a proven history of corruption, and after Khalif beat a Russian athlete. Paul's apology did not see him say sorry, but said he was spreading misinformation, along with the entirety of Twitter, which saw the backlash against him only grow further. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that the word in WWE that LA Knight was winning the US title at SummerSlam picked up after Paul's controversial comments on Twitter. LA Knight is now the US champion, a title win many feel was long overdue, and while Paul will compete in WWE again, this past week did not do the Maverick any favors. In the hours leading up to SummerSlam, it was reported that Zilla Fatu was in Cleveland, with some predicting that the son of Umaga would appear on the show in the Bloodline Rules match. That didn't happen, but Zilla was spotted in the crowd and at the WWE hotel before the event, but while he was having a blast at the show, he was supposed to be hundreds of miles away. To attend SummerSlam, Fatu no-showed a UPW event in Michigan he was promoted for, and he had been heavily promoted for the show on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, a fan asked if Fatu was actually set for the show and alluded to phantom booking, which is when a promoter says a wrestler will be there solely to sell tickets. This earned a response from UPW's camera operator Aaron Pristelsky, who confirmed that Fatu was indeed booked and had a deposit paid, but simply didn't show up to the event. Many fans are hoping to see Zilla in WWE one day, but no showing an event is hardly a good look for him, and his actions may leave WWE second-guessing his role in any potential plans. More from SummerSlam 2024 as the Intercontinental Championship changed hands, with Braun Breaker defeating Sami Zayn to win his first main roster title. At 5 minutes and 42 seconds, this was by far the shortest match on the night and was less than half the length of the second shortest match, as Breaker made quick work of the Canadian. Fightful Select reports that Breaker's title win ran much shorter than expected, and it's noted that the match had its time cut from the original 12 minutes that were planned. Although it was short, the match served as a coronation for Braun Breaker, and expect big things from the new Intercontinental Champion starting with tonight's Raw. At SummerSlam, the Judgment Day imploded not once, but twice, as after Dominic Mysterio turned on Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor would betray Damian Priest in his match with Gunther. After Priest hit his challenger with the Razor's Edge in South of Heaven, he went for the pin, but Balor intervened by putting Gunther's foot on the rope. After seeing the replay, Priest tried to confront Balor, but Gunther stopped him and placed Priest in a sleeper hold, ultimately winning his first WWE World Championship. Balor didn't share an explanation for his actions at SummerSlam, but seemingly does not regret what happened, as on Twitter, he shared that he woke up in a good mood. Priest was betrayed by Finn Balor at SummerSlam, but where were JD McDonough and Carlito, as the two men were clearly at the event, as they were seen looking for Dominic Mysterio? It seemed odd to leave Priest out there alone unless Carlito and JD McDonough have been in on this from the beginning and are set to join forces with Finn Balor. While on Instagram, McDonough shared a series of photos of himself tearing apart his Judgment Day top, stating in the caption that he never liked this shirt anyway. We'll hopefully get some answers to these questions on Raw, but one thing we do know is that the Judgment Day, if it even still exists, will never be the same. The biggest party of the summer saw Drew McIntyre face CM Punk, and though this was Punk's first match back from injury, it was the Scottish Warrior who got the win. In a post-SummerSlam interview with Jackie Redmond, McIntyre didn't mince words about his victory and his desire to put this chapter behind him. "Of course this is over. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I defeated CM Punk, I humiliated him, I took everything from him." When McIntyre said he took everything from Punk, that includes the bracelet featuring the name of Punk's wife and dog. And while Drew is ready to move on, expect CM Punk to be hungry for revenge. Last weekend's show was CM Punk's first SummerSlam since 2013, and also saw Stephanie McMahon make an appearance in the crowd, and the two shared a moment during the show. Despite his crushing loss to McIntyre, Punk was seen in fan-recorded footage after the match hugging McMahon, whose appearance at SummerSlam was highlighted during the show. It was during his 2011 pipe bomb that Punk made reference to Vince McMahon's idiotic daughter, but that's all water under the bridge, as this video shows. With Stephanie appearing at SummerSlam, it's hardly a surprise that fans are wondering if she has an official role with WWE after leaving the company in January 2023. Stephanie left around the time her father forced his way back into WWE, and on the post-show media scrum, Triple H was asked about his wife's WWE status. He said, "She does not have an official role right now, but I can tell you this, she loves this, she absolutely loves it. Sometimes it's harder for her to love it, and sometimes it's easier. It's easy for her to love it again for her. She's enjoying watching it, you know? She's enjoying coming to shows, she's enjoying seeing everyone in the back, she loves it. So if I'm the little kid booking, she's sitting there right next to me enjoying it and loving it. She's been in it her whole life." Triple H added that Stephanie has been watching our kids grow too old too fast, and that we'll see what the future holds, as he didn't rule out her working for WWE in a role in the future. Would you like to see Stephanie return to WWE, possibly as an on-screen character? Or are you done with her being on TV? Let us know what you think down below. Since arriving on WWE Raw, the Wyatt Six has been sharing cryptic messages via VHS tapes, and that all has been building towards the faction's in-ring debut on tonight's Raw. On Twitter, the group has shared another cryptic update with a mysterious image of someone sitting on the ground that fans believe is Joe Gacy, the only member not yet covered by a tape. The accompanying message, "Let you sin," only adds to the intrigue and chilling undertone of their storyline, and it'll be interesting to see what Gacy has to say if he's given the spotlight. Whether in the ring or through their videos, the Wyatt Six are proving to be a formidable and unnerving force in WWE, and do you think their debut match should have been at SummerSlam or tonight on Raw? Let us know your thoughts down below. At SummerSlam, Pat McAfee didn't hold back on commentary as fans have come to expect, though some were surprised to hear him describe Dominic Mysterio as a piece of shit. That line came after Dominic turned on Rhea Ripley, and Michael Cole gave him the green light to use the expletive, and this wasn't the only vulgarity heard during the broadcast. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that there were virtually no comments backstage about the strong language, and things are looser backstage in that regard. There were virtually no comments backstage on the amount of strong language on the show. When we followed up, we were just told things are looser in some regards for that. With Raw moving to Netflix in 2025, many expect that the language on the Red brand could turn more adult, though Michael Cole won't be a part of it. That's because Cole is moving to SmackDown soon when Joe Tessitore joins Raw, and it's believed Corey Graves and Wade Barrett will be joining the ex-ESPN broadcaster on Raw. Raw on Netflix could sound very different from what we've seen before, and SummerSlam 2024 may have been just a preview of what's to come. As we previously reported, Shane McMahon and Tony Khan had a meeting recently to discuss potential future collaboration, which has left many predicting Shane will join the company. In the latest reaction from WWE, Fightful Select reports that there's several in the company that suspect McMahon might soon make an appearance in AEW. Additionally, a WWE employee expressed little surprise over the meeting, suggesting McMahon's move could be seen as a strategy in the ever-evolving wrestling landscape. As the wrestling community buzzes with anticipation, the question remains, will Shane McMahon step into the AEW ring this year, especially after what happened at WrestleMania 39? Time will tell if Shane is indeed all elite, but what are your thoughts? Do you think we'll see Shane McMahon on AEW TV in the near future? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Over to AEW, as it's recently been confirmed that Britt Baker has been suspended from AEW after an altercation with Alicia Atout and her boyfriend MJF. While Baker was suspended, MJF was not, which has led some in AEW to believe there is a bias in the investigation, and this is hardly what AEW needs ahead of All In London 2024. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Jim Cornette addressed Baker's situation and the fact that she'll be brought back for All In a matter of weeks. Cornette noted that no one has said that Baker's suspension is without pay, and if that is not the case, then this situation may not be the punishment AEW wants it to be. He explained, "That's the thing, they're bringing her back for Wembley because it's a big match, so she's suspended for 2 weeks, but nobody said suspended without pay, so you get to stay home and make the same money as if you'd gone. So what the hell? And she wrestles what, 8 times a year to begin with? So the fine might be an issue, but I think the suspension, well, you can kind of look at it like, well, they fined me, but I get the next 2 weeks off to work on my tan. I'm just pulling numbers for even mathematics' sake. Her weekly salary is $7,000 a week, and if she gets fined $10,000, then she's still making $4,000 for 2 weeks for doing nothing. So who's really being penalized here?" Cornette then criticized Baker's wrestling skills, saying she's not good but has been favored by Tony Khan and has therefore avoided being put in the same repetitive, tiresome plans. The infamous wrestling personality advised Baker to keep quiet to keep this preferable situation before comparing drama in AEW to the chaos and unprofessional environment of high school. He argued that other backstage issues are handled far more seriously in other companies, and that internal drama has existed in AEW long after CM Punk's departure. It was suggested that backstage issues persisting could make negotiating TV deals and promoting events like Wembley difficult, and said Tony Khan needs positive stories rather than drama. Cornette pointed out that the ongoing negative stories about AEW suggest a lack of control and professionalism, and suspensions and fines have been ineffective, especially if wrestlers are sent home with pay. Only time will tell if AEW will get things in check and finally get rid of all the backstage drama plaguing the company, as backstage issues continue to be worryingly common. What do you think of what Jim Cornette had to say about the controversy surrounding Britt Baker? Who do you feel is to blame in this scenario? Sound off in the comments section below. One name who's no stranger to controversy is Brock Lesnar, whose WWE future remains in doubt due to his name being tied to Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon. This is hardly the first taste of controversy for Lesnar, as during an interview with Sportskeeda recently, Kenny Bolin recalled an incident with Lesnar from his OVW days. Bolin explained that Lesnar was fired from OVW after an alleged incident with Jim Cornette's wife that left the wrestling manager ready to get as violent as he could. He said, "I remember when Brock was with us at Ohio Valley Wrestling. He got fired for doing something that he shouldn't have done with Cornette's wife. Cornette threatened to shoot him in the parking lot and Brock went away. We thought that Brock was done. We didn't think he could do that with a female on a live television show and get away with it. And then we see 30 to 60 days or 90 days later, he's the world champion. Jim said, well, they showed him, you can't do that stuff, here's the world title. What else would you like to do? Unbelievable." It's interesting that Cornette and his wife are tied to this story, as it's been alleged by several wrestlers that talent were made to be intimate with her in order to guarantee pushes when Jim ran OVW. As for Brock Lesnar's current situation, he remains absent from WWE television since SummerSlam 2023, and all plans for him in 2024 were nixed earlier this year. Regardless, such allegations about Brock Lesnar might not surprise fans, but it will also be a long time until he returns to WWE, if that day ever comes. Back to SummerSlam as WWE debuted its ref cam during the show, which provided a feed from the referee's shirt, but the unique perspective wasn't always clear or well-timed. For the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match, Seth Rollins was seen removing and discarding the ref cam, as the Visionary seemingly did not want to bother with the unique idea. According to Corey Brennan of Fightful Select, the battery pack from the ref cam fell off during the match, and Rollins decided to take it off himself, and he received no heat backstage. Instead, it was anticipated the technical issues would occur, and while innovation is something WWE always strives for, that doesn't mean every idea will be a home run. But what do you think of Rollins removing the ref cam? Do you want to see the concept make a return? Sound off in the comments. More from Raw, as tonight's show will be huge, but getting to the event hasn't been easy for Bronson Reed, who took to Twitter to share his story of travel woe. Reed shared that his flight had been canceled and his second flight had been delayed 3 times before eventually also being canceled. The root of these travel disruptions is Tropical Storm Debbie, which is looming over Florida and is expected to escalate into a hurricane. The powerhouse is hoping to make it to Raw, but that's proving easier said than done, and hopefully Bronson Reed will make it to tonight's show in Baltimore. We've got some crossover news now, as NXT's Josh Briggs competed last weekend in the Noah V1 tournament and won his match at the Yokohama Budokan. Briggs controlled the match as he towered over his opponent Ryohei Oiwa, and now Briggs has serious momentum in the ongoing tournament. The same can't be said for Tavion Heights, who lost his tournament match to Titus Alexander in hardly a good look for the No Quarter Catch crew member. Fortunately for Heights, he'll have more opportunities as the tournament runs until September 1st, and we'll have to see how these NXT stars do outside the company. Now, this year has seen NXT and TNA Wrestling work together and share talent among its shows, and this collaboration has proven to be a hit with fans. During the post-SummerSlam press conference, Triple H was asked about NXT and TNA working together and suggested that WWE is open to more than one promotion. We're open for business, whether that's what you see in NXT with TNA or that's different international opportunities. We're going to look at what's best for WWE, but how does that benefit us and how does that benefit them? WWE has also worked with Marigold, Pro Wrestling Noah, and Bloodsport so far this year, and DIY appeared at an AIW event just last week. On this week's Great American Bash, Joe Hendry will take on Joe Coffey of Gallus, and expect plenty more crossover thanks to WWE's new management.